April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and one Lexington organization is using the month to raise awareness.
Yeah, CASA of Lexington planted these pinwheels in front of Raising Cane's on Nicholasville Road. And as WKYT's Lexi Martin shows us, the pinwheels represent the hundreds of children who are victims of abuse and neglect in the city.
If you have been down Nicholasville Road since Sunday, you may have noticed hundreds of shining pinwheels in front of Raising Cane's.
And although pinwheels are beautiful, what they represent is not so beautiful.
CASA of Lexington places pinwheels every April to represent new child abuse and neglect cases in the county. In Fayette County, nearly 900 pinwheels were placed, each representing a child from 2022.
Almost 1,000 children were new victims of child abuse and neglect in Fayette County last year, and that's just new children entering the system.
CASA works to lower the number of children suffering from neglect or abuse by working as volunteers to meet with these children, meet with their caretakers, and advocate for the child with a judge.
Often judges don't even get the chance to meet a child, but they're making lifelong decisions on behalf of them.
CASA of Lexington says the pinwheels represent something else too.
They also represent an effort to raise not just awareness, but action, because everyday people can do things to help prevent child abuse.
To volunteer with CASA, you need 30 hours of training, which is offered at CASA of Lexington. In Lexington, Lexi Martin, WKYT.
Well, if you are interested in becoming a CASA volunteer, they will be hosting a training this Thursday with more trainings to follow if you can't make it this week.